Hi, guys. I'm Brian Nelson Palmer, and this is about how many meetings is too many meetings. In today's day and age, there's been a lot of discussion about that with all of the virtual meetings and meetings. It's easier than ever to meet with somebody because you can just send them a link and they can sign on. But now meeting fatigue is very much a thing. So I wanted to share a bit about that. So I'm going to share my screen, just a quick presentation for you, and then I'll save time for discussion and stuff at the end. But let me get this presentation out of the way. I want to share some definite facts and tips that I have for you. So I'm going to share my screen here. And this is what I was hoping to communicate. So how many meetings is too many meetings? First, why talk about this here and now? I just was invited to speak to a group about this exact topic. And they reached out to me and said, hey, Brian, we've got a real problem with meeting fatigue. Can you come and talk to us about how many meetings is too many meetings, how to be more productive with our meetings, that kind of stuff. I had such a good time in that presentation. And I wanted to share it because I know you probably have these same questions. So I wanted to share it with you here as well. And like I said earlier, virtual meetings, they make it easier than ever to get everyone together because you just send them a link and they're there. But meeting fatigue is still a thing. Because the thing to remember is with a meeting, your job description is not to attend meetings. It's not to send emails. Your job description is generally something much more valuable to the organization than that. So unless your job description says your job is just to attend meetings, being aware of how many meetings you're attending and how many meetings you're inviting people to attend is certainly something that I hope you consider with your job and your role where you are. Also, after COVID, the number of meetings has increased. And I'll be sending this PDF for those that are subscribed to the email list. So you'll be getting this as well. You can look into these articles and this research that I've got here to kind of back up some of what I'm saying. But the number of meetings has definitely increased ever since COVID happened because of the virtual meetings and how easy it is to get everybody in a room, like I said, among other things. Also, studies say that office workers are most productive around 3-ish hours a day. And now you can evaluate that for yourself. Think back on your day. If you were really to check in, can you be at your most productive for the entire day? The answer for me is definitely not, and probably for you too. I have times during the day. For me, it's midway through the morning, and I get a good spurt about late in the afternoon where I can just get in a zone and go and crank out and be really productive. So for me personally, I know those times it's better for me to avoid meetings and use that as productive time to get the work done. So I hope you consider that as well for you, because just remember that. So here's the answer to the question. How many meetings is too many meetings? In a perfect world, your target is half a day of meetings or less. And I know you might have just looked at me and thought, that's insane. How could I possibly only have meetings for half a day? Because your workplace is crazy with the meetings. I totally get that. Or some of you might be thinking, gosh, I don't even need that many. And I'm envious of you for many of you. That'd be many people who might watch this might be very jealous of you if that's the case. So here's some tips, right? First, group them together consecutively. If you're going to have half a meeting and you have control over those meetings, right? If you plan them or you have a say in when they are, this isn't some boss's boss that calls you into a meeting. Okay, you're going to that one whenever they schedule it. But if you have control over the meeting, try to group them together so that you have productive time on the front end and or productive time on the back end, and all of your meetings are here together. That's the first thing. And that's a great way to maximize your productive time, right? And if you can get that half a day of meeting or less, if you look ahead at your week and you know Wednesday is an entire day of meetings, but Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, and Friday are kind of light, maybe if you can move some of those around to give yourself time on that day, shoot for that half a day target. That's great. That's a good way. That's a good metric for me. For me personally, that's what I try to do is look at, okay, how can I move these things around to get that half day? So also clarification, we don't live in a perfect world. This was a perfect world, right? We don't live in a perfect world. So this isn't going to be possible for everyone. And I fully understand and support that. Sometimes you get called into meetings and you're going because it's the boss or the boss's boss or it's out of your control. And I totally get that. And we also don't have a say in these meetings that we get invited to. It might be a customer or somebody else just asks for a meeting and now you're getting pulled into a meeting when you didn't need to be there. So here's some tips and hacks to help overcome these things. First, instead of attending the meeting, and this is something that might happen in some of your workplaces, sometimes the meetings are recorded. And whenever I'm in a meeting that is being recorded, I am happy to sign off and, well, let me rephrase. If I'm in a meeting that's being recorded and I am not expected to talk, it's just my job to get all the information that's shared in the meeting, I often can interpret that as, okay, it's okay if I get to this later today or something like that. So I love to come back, watch the recording at 2 times speed or even 3 times speed. There are players or ways to do that. So look into Windows settings or different, whatever your service is. See if you can watch them at a faster speed. Because if I can get an hour meeting and I can synthesize it down to 30 minutes at double speed, even if it sounds like chipmunks, as long as I get the information that was needed in that communication that was shared, I'm good with that. So keep that in mind. That might be an option for you. Also, there's no need to take attendance or go around the room. If they say, you know, in my professional workplace, oftentimes there are different groups or regions or divisions that are being represented. And so they will often have this period of time where they go around and, all right, this person, do you have any comments? This person, do you have any comments? If you have control over the meeting, you can skip that. Use the raise your hand feature or the ability to acknowledge who has comments that need to be said. They can put something in the chat if they have something to say, but you can skip the 5 minutes or 10 minutes of just going around calling somebody and they say no comment. Also, there's no need to ask, can you hear me in a meeting? That's oftentimes what will happen. This is a funny thing, but you'll say, hey, can you hear me? And then there's about a 10-second gap where somebody has to go find their mute button, unmute, and tell you that they can hear you or give a thumbs up. You could just talk. And if they can't hear you, they will tell you, or somebody will give you a sign. So don't worry about mute, just go for it. That's a little thing. And also, if you want to, one of the things I've been doing is I've been scheduling my meetings to last for 25 minutes or 50 minutes. And that allows people to have bio breaks, right? They're gonna be able to go to the bathroom in between meetings if they need, and make sure you stick to that time slot too. If I can't fit it into 25 minutes, it wouldn't have fit in a 30-minute meeting anyway. I should have gotten an hour. So go for 25 minutes or go for 50 minutes and be respectful of that. So what that means is if you're facilitating the meeting and you get to the end and you can't go, you cannot just run over. That's not respectful of people and their time, especially if they're working for you. That's not respectful of them. If they're meeting above you, if they are somebody above you, they're often going to have another obligation or another meeting they've got to go to. So now they're juggling, well, I got to stay here for 5 more minutes. And nope, just if you own the meeting, schedule another meeting. Find another time that you can get everybody back together, but don't go over that end time. And or if it is something where you need 5 minutes, ask permission before you do. If you hit the end of your time, ask permission. Can I get 5 more minutes or do we need to reschedule? And let them have a say, because that's great. And I know you might not have control over a lot of these meetings that you're in, which is why you're checking out this session, and that's great. I hope that this is some helpful tips that can help you with the quantity of meetings that's now happening, because there's a lot of it going on. And I know that can be overwhelming sometimes. So be aware of that, be conscious of that. And if you want to talk about this stuff, shoot me a note. I would love to talk to you, or even come and talk to your workplace about this if that's something that you guys would be interested in, or you would be interested in. Reach out to me. Happy to do that. So I'm Brian Nelson Palmer. This is Productivity Gladiator. And that was how many meetings is too many meetings. I hope it was helpful. Let me know your comments. Thanks, guys.